Hey guys, welcome back to Paracord Planet. Today we're going to be making a paracord rifle sling. We've done that in the past using the King Cobra knot that I've got right here. Our version will be using an adaptation of that knot by Makhambet Auyezov. I said it this time. Hopefully I pronounced that right. And we'll actually be modifying his method a little bit as well. So his was the Sanctified Covenant weave. Ours is going to be called the Covenant Oath. So without further ado, let's get into it. So this project uses 3 different colors of paracord. I've got 35 feet of silver gray, 25 feet of Siberian camo, and 25 feet of moss. This also uses our sling clip available in our store. This is just a piece of webbing with the right attachments for a rifle. And you'll also need 1 more of those clips for the other end. All right, so the setup for this isn't too complicated. We've got both ends tied into the jig. Not a typical setup, but we've got kind of some funny ends that are a little bit harder to put on a jig. So just take a piece of spare paracord, tie that in. We want the clip on this side and just this plastic piece on the other side. And the rest of our sling strap here is just going to hang off to the side. That way we don't have to use up quite so much space on our jig. We can shorten it down to this. So now laying down our first color, silver gray, we're going to start at the bottom and do an upside down cow hitch again. So up through the bottom of that one, pull all of our cord through, after it's folded in half, of course. There's our start, and we're going to turn that into those 2 cow hitches for our wide setup. We've done this in a couple of videos lately. By just threading each end back up through the bottom on its respective side. Leave that loop there. Oops. Pull all of our slack through. Then bring our end down through here. So then we have our completed cow hitch on that side. We'll do the same on this side, and then we'll go up to the top and do the same thing there. So once you're done, it should look like this. We've got 2 cow hitches on the top and 2 on the bottom. We just have to make those in the end of the cord rather than the middle when we're lacing it through on this side. I should also note that you want to adjust your sling to the right size before you do all this. I'm just keeping it short so that it's in frame for you guys. We want our woven portion to be 22 inches long, and that'll make our full sling a typical rifle length. So we've got that. I'm not going to tighten it down quite yet because we've got some more to do. Next, we're going to take our solid color, our moss in this case, find the middle of that cord as well. And with this one, we're actually going to start on the bottom, just like our first one. We're going to cow hitch it onto that little loop in between our bottom 2 cow hitches. So we'll feed the fold of our cord down through there, loop it back through here, and stick our ends through. At that point, our moss cord is going to come up to the top and go down through the top clip. Just like that. And then last but not least, we're going to add our camo color in. And that one is just going to go threaded through our 2 cow hitches right here. So just kind of open those up a little bit, poke it through like that, and then pull it through until the middle of your cord is resting underneath the rest of your knots. So both sides of this should be even. And there we go. Now, like I said, you want to adjust this to 22 inches, our paracord portion, before you begin. I'll go ahead and get that set up, and then we'll introduce the weave. So now I've got mine at the length I want it to be, and we can begin our weave. This has a couple more steps to it than the typical bracelet weave because it is a wider design. So feel free to pause the video at any step if you need to catch up. So we're going to start with our moss cord in the middle. We got 1 cord coming out to each side, and those are just draped over the top. We're going to bring it up between the green and the silver gray. Pull all of our slack through. And then with those cords, we're going to go down through the middle. So taking each of those cords, we're going to split the middle 2 moss cords and put them both down through. Pull our slack back to the bottom. You might want to hang these up because that is quite a bit of cord. When we tighten that down, we want them to be 2 parallel stripes. The original Sanctified Covenant is just 1 stripe, but we're doing 2 down the middle. So pull that core strand nice and tight. Each of those cords are going to lock into a perpendicular line. Just like that. And those might loosen up a little bit as we do our next step, so we'll just have to tighten them down before we finish that full row of our weave. Next, we're going to take our base cord, the silver gray, and that's going to go underneath. So we'll start with our right side. That's going to go underneath the first 3 cords and come up right here. Then we're going to take our left side cord and do the same thing. Just go underneath the first 3 and come up right down here. Like that. Finally, we're going to take our camo cord, bring it underneath to come up between the silver and the moss. And then it's going to go back to its own side through that silver gray loop. So I got to get my slack through. And then we'll take that silver loop. We're not going down through this one, but just through that silver loop. And now we'll do the same thing on the other side. Up through here, down through that silver loop. Pull the slack through. So at this point, the sanctified weave often looks like a jumbled mess before we tighten down each step. So now we're going to go ahead and do that. I find it works best to tighten down your base color first. That brings everything up to the top. And then when we tighten down that outside color, it really brings everything together. And you just kind of have to alternate in between your colors to get everything tight. Our green cord didn't loosen up too much, but you just want to make sure that that one's nice and secure too before moving on. So now we're going to do another layer of our green. This is the second time around in our pattern. Again, we're just going to go up to the sides, down through the middle. So I'm just going to do that in one step this time. And then we can pull our slack through. Then once that's done, we want to keep those green cords out of the way up top here as we weave our next cords. Again, right side gray, underneath 3 over 1. Pull that on through. Other gray, underneath 3 over 1. And our green's getting mixed up there. Keep those separated. And then on the left side here, camo, under here, down through the gray loop. And same on the other side. Tighten that gray first, then the camo, and then just make sure your green loops are where they're supposed to be. So that's all there is to the weave. We're just going to keep going down the length of the sling and catch you at the end. All right, so here's the completed sling. You'll notice I'm not wearing the same shirt. Projects like these and the belt and other big things like this just take a little while to tie. So this is a couple days after we filmed the intro. And I'm liking how this looks. The end of the video cord assessment, I do have a little bit of extra, so you can get away with a little bit shorter of cord. Just a couple feet of the camo and the green, but I do have 6 feet on each end of that silver gray. And so you can get away with probably 10 feet less than I used. So now we can cut the cords and finish this off. So I'm going to take it off the jig first. That'll be easiest. So the knots on this one are pretty tight, so we can just clip it where they are at the end and then melt it against. Sometimes when you don't have a cord going through a tight spot on the end, then you want to kind of anchor it a little bit better. But I think this one's going to be good if we just end them right where they're at. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one, as hunting season is coming up, and I'm sure some of you are going to be making similar straps for yourselves. Be sure to post your pictures to our social media. We'd love to see what you make. As always, we'll put links in the description to where you can find the supplies for this one. So that's the adjustable sling strap here, the paracord, and the clip for the other end. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.